Hello Algebra 1, this is our first video of the year. We'll see more of these second semester. If you are in my second and seventh hour, you should have your student journals out and you should be on page 140. I've listed some steps here, so if you want to write those down, why don't you pause the video and write those down in your journal or your notes. If you're in my iPad class, you're either watching me on your phone and writing on your iPad, or you have a worksheet that I've given you. So our goal again is to solve a system of equations. This time we're not going to graph. We're going to solve using solving equations basically. This method is called substitution. This is our second method and we'll learn another one next week. This is section 5.2. So what we have here again is two equations. We have an x and a y in both equations, and again we're not going to graph these. Instead, we are going to take one equation, for example this one, y equals 5 minus x. We know a little bit about y, and so what we can do is take it and plug it into the first equation, wherever we see the y variable. That's where substitution gets its name. We're going to substitute y for the expression 5 minus x. So here's what it'll look like. The top equation will say 2x plus 2 like it did before. Instead of y, I'm going to open up some parentheses and plug in our new expression 5 minus x. And I'll continue with equals 10. So you can see where it gets its name, substitution. And let's just compare the first equation with our new one. So 2x's are the same, the plus 2 is the same. I don't see y anymore, it's been replaced with 5 minus x. And I see the 10's are the same. Look at my steps. Number 1, plug one equation into the other. That's what we just did. Step 2.
Carol Foreman, please call extension 1044. Carol Foreman, please call Katie Aarons at extension 1044.
Step 2 says now you have one equation, solve it. So that's where we're at now, step 2. If we solve it, we get 2x plus 10 minus 2x equals 10. The x's will cancel, and I get 10 equals 10. And here's what happens with that. We've seen this before. All of our x's canceled, and we get the same number on either side, 10 equals 10. So we have infinitely many solutions. Okay, now let's try the next one. So step 1, I see that x is by itself. Let's pick that up and plug it into the top equation. This time we'll replace x. So we'll write 2, but instead of x, I'm going to open up some parentheses and write negative 2y minus 1. Continue with your first equation. It says minus y equals 3. So we have step 1 finished. Plug one equation into the other. Step 2, now we have one equation and we're going to solve it. So negative 4y minus 2 minus y equals 3. Let's combine our terms. Negative 5y minus 2 equals 3. Add 2. Negative 5y equals 5. And I get y equals negative 1. And so we know half of our answer. We know y is negative 1. Even though we don't have a graph and we're not looking at points, we can still write our answer as a point. So put the y in the second place. And step 3, find the other variable. So what we're going to do again is substitution. We're going to take our value for y and we're going to plug it back into the problem. It doesn't matter if you use the first or second equation. I'm just going to use the second one this time, and I'm going to plug in negative 1 where I see a y. So it says x equals negative 2, and I'll replace y with negative 1. minus 1, so x equals 2 minus 1, which is 1. And I can put that into my point. So that would be our final answer, 1 comma negative 1. X is equal to positive 1, y is equal to negative 1. If you want to, go ahead and pause the video and you can try number 3 on your own, and then I'll continue. So in our second equation, we have x equals y. So I'm going to take y, plug it into the top. Let's rewrite the first equation. Instead of x, I replaced it with a y. Minus 3y equals negative 1. So that's step 1, so plug one equation into the other. Step 2, now we have one equation, solve it. Negative 2y equals negative 1, and y equals negative 1 divided by negative 2, which is 1/2, or if you want to call it 0.5, that's fine. So we have half of our answer. And now again, step 3, we're going to find the other variable. Let's take that 1/2, plug it in, I don't care which equation you use, let's just use the bottom one. X equals, and let's replace y with 1/2, so x also equals 1/2, which makes sense. If you read the second equation, it says x equals y, so they should be the same value. So we have our final answer. I'll do another one. If you want to stop the video and work on problem number 4, you can do that now. And I'll keep going. So we have y equals x plus 1. We're going to plug that into y. So we'll write our first equation, x minus 2, but don't put y, put x plus 1 equals negative 3. Let's distribute, so x minus 2x minus 2 equals negative 3. Let's keep solving. Negative 1x minus 2 equals negative 3. Add 2. Negative 1x equals negative 1. Divide, x equals positive 1. And we're halfway finished. We know it's 1 comma something. Let's take that back up to the top. I'm just going to use that second equation again. Y equals, instead of x, I'm going to replace it with 1. Plus 1 equals 2. So y equals 2, and I know what my answer is. And I think I'll just do one more, so if you want to pause the video again and try number 5 on your own, or if you think you have it and you want to stop and start homework, that's fine. So step 1, let's take 3y plus 5, and we'll plug it into the other equation where the x goes. So the first equation has a 2, but instead of x, I'm going to write 3y plus 5 plus y equals 3. Notice how I've been using parentheses, and that's going to help me remember to distribute when I solve. So step 2, let's solve this equation. Let's combine the terms and get 7y. Let's subtract 10 and get negative 7. And let's divide and get negative 1. Halfway done. I know the y value. Let's just plug it in. So x equals 3, but instead of y, let's plug in negative 1 plus 5. And I should get 2. So x equals 2, and I have the final answer. You can stop the video now and you can begin your assignment.